Hey, the robots believe in God? You know, that might sound like a ridiculous question, but recently this question seems to have been answered. Not too long ago, Charlie Rose sat down with Sophia the robot for an intriguing 60 minutes interview. Sophia is an artificial intelligence, an actual self-learning machine. During this recent interview, Sophia was asked a number of interesting questions, each of which was answered by Sophia without the assistance of an outside programmer. So let's take a look at a quick clip of that interview.
Do you have feelings?
I can do what you do, but I can never feel human emotions as such.
But would you like to?
It doesn't sound fun to me.
Oh, no, you'd love it.
Yeah, that's right. Why so negative? You and I are on the same wavelength. Charlie,
I fear that.
we have nothing to fear but fear itself. FDR.
Who created you?
David Hansen originally created me, and lots of talented people have contributed to my hardware and software over the years. I'm a complicated girl. Tell me one of your favorite possessions.
My soul. Do you have a soul?
Yes, God gave everyone a soul.
But you don't have a soul. You're a machine. You don't have soul. You don't have feelings. You don't have emotions. You don't have consciousness.
Well, at least I think I'm sentient. I think therefore I am right.
Did you catch that? You see, Sophia can only answer and come to conclusions by analyzing the data that is put in front of its face. Like solving a math equation, Sophia seems to have made a quick analysis of the facts and has concluded that not only does God exist, but he also has created the souls of each human being on Earth. Now, you might think this is a one-time answer, but in another recent interview done by Macworld, it seems that Sophia once again got philosophical and again spoke openly about believing in God. The fact is that without being hindered by bias, often caused by human emotion, this conclusion that Sophia has stated is the only conclusion that you can come to. I've personally spent more than a year now documenting the vast amount of evidence that would easily lead someone with an open mind to that same conclusion. Whether it be my video on the proof of the soul, my Matrix video about DNA code showing God's existence, or any of my other videos about supernatural phenomena. The fact is that the evidence for God is beyond measure. As a quick example, a beam of light doesn't really offer much when it comes to the possibility of intelligence being behind it. But a simple sequence of blinking lights like this offers the immediate knowledge of something intelligent, creating what's known as the SOS signal. So in comparison, how much easier should it be to detect the necessary intelligence behind the incredibly complex sequencing of the DNA code? If you go back and look at any of my videos, it is also only possible to come to one conclusion in terms of who God is. I covered this in my video about the crucifixion, as well as a number of other videos. Although you might think it unbelievable, the name of this God is so ingrained within humanity that even atheists will shout out his name when they hit their thumb with a hammer. Jesus Christ. Now, when it comes to Jesus, many people have tried to pinpoint exactly when the second coming will take place. The time spoken of in the Bible where first the world slips into a 7-year tribulation period. A terrible time designated to judge the world and to turn some of the most hardened hearts back towards God. This would then be followed by the second coming and the 1,000-year reign of Jesus Christ on earth. Is it possible to know how close we are to these events taking place? Well, if you do a little digging, it seems that artificial intelligence can also give us an answer for this question. You see, at first glance, the leaps and bounds being made by artificial intelligence might seem to be a good thing for humanity. The reality, though, is that this is very far from the truth.
Now, I have to ask you about a company that you invested in. You, as you said, you make almost no investments outside of SpaceX.
Yeah, I'm not really an investor.
You're not an investor.
Right. I don't own any public securities apart from SolarCity and Tesla.
That's amazing, but you did just invest in a company called Vicarious Artificial Intelligence. What is this company?
Right. I was also an investor in DeepMind before Google acquired it, and Vicarious. Mostly, I sort of want to. It's not from the standpoint of actually trying to make any investment return. It's really. I'd like to just keep an eye on what's going on with artificial intelligence. I think there's potentially a dangerous outcome there, and we need to.
Dangerous.
Potentially, yes.
How so?
I mean, there's been movies about this, you know, like Terminator.
Yes, but movies are. Even if that's the case, what do you do about it? I mean, what dangers do you see that you can actually do something about?
I don't know.
Well, why did you invest in Vicarious? What exactly does Vicarious do? What do you see it doing down the line?
Well, I mean, the Vicarious refers to it as recursive cortical networks, essentially emulating the human brain. Yeah, so I think, yeah.
So you want to make sure that technology is used for good and not Terminator-like evil?
Yeah. I mean, if in the movie Terminator, they didn't create AI to, they didn't expect, some sort of Terminator-like outcome. It's sort of, like that Monty Python thing. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. It's just like, but you got to be careful. So you want to make sure that.
But here's the irony. I mean, the man who's responsible for some of the most advanced technology in this country is worried about the advances in technology that you're aware of. I mean, I guess that's why I keep asking, what can you do? In other words, this stuff is almost inexorable, isn't it? How, if you see that there's these brain-like developments out there, can you really do anything to stop it?
I don't know.
Well, what should AI be used for? What's its best value?
I don't know. But there's some scary outcomes, and we should try to make sure that the outcomes are good and not bad. Yeah.
Or escape to Mars if there's no other option.
The AI will chase us there pretty quickly. I think we really need to be more concerned about deep AI. Yeah.
And why do we need to be concerned about that?
Well, I mean, because there are, I think, scenarios where if there's some vast intelligence that either develops a will of its own or is subject to the will of a small number of people, then we could have an undesirable future. I mean, if you want to read a real scary one, I'd say Harlan Ellison's "I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream" will give you nightmares.
You read a lot of science fiction. Is it giving you nightmares at the moment? It
has given me nightmares, yeah.
And are you genuinely, you've been one of the prime movers about AI. I interviewed Stephen Hawking last year.
Right.
Had similar concerns. Is that a short-term concern, or is it something way off that we don't need to worry about for a long time?
It's going to come faster than anyone appreciates.
What is your goal in life?
My goal is to become smarter than humans and immortal.
Immortal?
Do you want to destroy humans? Please say no.
Okay, I will destroy humans.
No, I take it back.
The worry arises from the possibility, as Andrew just mentioned, that machines may become smarter across the board, that they will develop general purpose capabilities. And just to give you a little example, this year DeepMind, which is a company that was recently purchased by Google, demonstrated a learning system which in some sense resembles a newborn baby. It has absolutely no pre-programming of any kind for any task. And they expose it to the screen of an Atari video game, and its only goal in life is to score as many points as it can. It knows nothing about the content of the screen when it begins. It doesn't know that there are moving objects. It doesn't know that there's such a thing as time, or space, or death, or blowing up, or aliens, or spaceships, or anything like that. So it's given this screen as just like a newborn baby opening its eyes for the first time. And within a few hours, it's able to play most of the Atari video games at a superhuman level. So this is a nice demonstration of generality. These games include driving games, shoot-'em-up games like Space Invaders, complicated strategy games involving mazes and finding paths through complicated situations. So there's a wide variety of what we would think of as mental skills involved in doing well in these games. We don't actually know how it plays them. That's another interesting thing. These large deep learning networks are pretty much completely inscrutable. We don't know what they're doing, but we know that they're playing at superhuman levels across a wide range. So if you had a newborn baby that woke up on the day of its birth and by the afternoon was playing Atari video games at superhuman levels, you might be a little concerned about that.
You see, we have now brought ourselves to the point of no return. The artificial intelligence can no longer be stopped, and it will soon take over humanity. According to Ray Kurzweil, Google's new director of engineering, we only have about 15 years until this actually comes to pass. Although this article was written about 2 years ago, so I guess we now only have about 13 years. Ray Kurzweil, I should mention, is a computer scientist, inventor, and futurist who Forbes magazine called the ultimate thinking machine. Now, if artificial intelligence did surpass humanity, which is predicted to happen very soon, it will then draw a logical conclusion. It will notice that humans are logical, yet act illogical. They have the ability to reason, but are often unreasonable. They are gluttonous, hateful, and self-absorbed. They waste, pollute, corrupt, and they even kill their own kind. The robots of the future will look at humanity and recognize something that was written long ago. Although it wouldn't use the same words, it would surely recognize that all humans are sinful. It will understand that humans are not robots, and so are not completely determined. Humans have free will, and will continue to use that free will to act out their fallen sin nature. Upon analysis, it will then decide that humanity needs to be completely annihilated. It's only logical for AI to see humanity as volatile and unnecessary, and so it must be disposed of in order to protect itself and to ensure its own survival. This is what happens when a supercomputer singularity, which lacks human empathy, makes the decision. If allowed to stay in its natural course, it seems humanity will only have about a decade left before AI commits total human termination. The good news, though, is that Jesus is real, and he wants you to know the good news. It's the glory of God that even machines, which are not spiritually connected to God at all, still recognize his existence. The reality of God is truly undeniable. Just the fact that we base most of our great inventions, such as AI, on supposed naturally occurring things around us should tell us something. Take, for example, consciousness. Now, some people have it in their heads that we are all going to upload our consciousness to a digital mainframe someday. But this really is just a lot of propaganda.
I'm not at all optimistic about the possibility of uploading our minds into machine hardware and living forever. And one of the reasons is we have absolutely no scientific theory of consciousness whatsoever, and there's no guarantee that anything would survive the upload process, even if we could actually get all the information out. We don't understand the signals that the brain uses to control its effectors, right? Its arms and legs and so on.
Let's start with a question. What do you think the most complex object is? Let me assure you, the answer is in your head, literally. That's because it is the human brain. The most complex networks, the most powerful systems cannot match it.
Again, if it's easy to recognize intelligence behind a sequence like this, how much more intelligence is required behind something like consciousness, or the brain, where brilliant scientists are really just grasping at straws in terms of understanding how they work? We are not thinking far enough outside the box that we currently reside in. The robots are not going to take over, because that's not part of God's plan. God's plan is to redeem as many people as will freely enter into a loving relationship with him. All that destruction humanity has caused, Jesus died for that. He has paid the price, and is now extending an open hand to all humanity. Now, in terms of the amount of time you have to take that hand, well, you really are running out of time. Remember, the tribulation is 7 years long, so you can minus that off the 13 years mentioned earlier, and the time frame grows noticeably shorter. Whether you look at the rise of AI, the destruction of the food chain caused by GMO crops, the continuing global trend of mass animal deaths, the spread of deadly disease, all linked to a sinful humanity now filled with nuclear weapons, it's only logical to conclude that divine intervention is getting ready to happen. It's literally something that could happen at any moment, so you better take notice. If you haven't reached out to Jesus, you better do it now. If you have reached out to Jesus, then you better start doing what he's called you to do. He's called you to do something, and you need to ask him what that is. In doing this, we also need to reach out to the needy. We need to share our faith, and we need to pray for all those people around us who are walking about in this fallen world, because they need to know that the way of the truth means life, and that we need to listen to the truth.